Okay, good afternoon everybody. I am Bart, your host at GiantScaleNews.com, and today is January 2nd, 2016, and we're going to get started with a new build. You might call it a product review, but in front of me on the table here, this is a BME 102. It's a 102cc gasoline engine. You might have seen it for sale the last year or so in the classified section at GiantScaleNews.com. It didn't sell, and it's a good thing because it's going to be the perfect engine for our build that we're going to start today. This is the pilot figure that comes with the kit. And the kit that I'm talking about is a utility grade airplane. It's a third scale, 141-inch wingspan, and it's designed around the Zenoah GT-80. That's actually the engine for it. If you happen to have one on hand, you're all set. But I'm using the BME 102. This airplane is going to be a workhorse. I've got a mission for it. I've got some plans. Some of you know what that is, some of you don't. But let's get going. If there's anything we don't cover today in this review video, we're going to do the build thread. There's going to be more videos. You're more than welcome to come by the website and ask questions. I'll look into, research, answer whatever questions you might have. And the airplane we're covering today, for the most part, has been covered at other websites. There's videos of it on YouTube. Most of the feedback, most all of the stuff that I've read has been really positive. A couple small things along the way might be issues we'll deal with as we're doing the build. But without further delay, the airplane is a World-Models third scale Super Cub. And like I said, it's 141-inch wingspan, 80cc engine is what is recommended. And it comes in a really big box. And that box is actually two boxes. They ship it double boxed for protection. The one that I got was in perfect condition. The box wasn't crushed. The inside box was intact. Everything inside of the box was individually wrapped, secured with tape, blocked by a little cardboard barrier so that it wouldn't get damaged in transit. And here's your fuselage, okay? Very big, right? Very typical construction, laser cut plywood, all glued together, covered with World-Models' own product called Toughlon. And you can see this is fresh out of the box. Can you see that? Let's give it a couple glints off the lights. So you can see it's in great shape. The covering's nice and tight, and it's ready to go right onto the bench for assembly. With this gigantic fuselage, which I have to be honest is going to have a gigantic Giant Scale News sticker right over here. Okay, if you see me looking up, that's the monitor I'm looking at as I'm putting this stuff in front of you. That's the fuselage, which, yes, is frickin' enormous. We also have two gigantic wing panels. Now, one of the nice things about this, not only is all of the hardware included, all of your linkages, all of your hardware, you'll see in follow-up videos as we're doing the assembly, that the hardware is very complete. It's good quality stuff. It's going to make for a great build. I'm going to use almost everything, I think. If I do substitute, we'll talk about that in later videos, but right now I'm thinking I'm going to use almost all of it. The control surfaces are all pre-hinged. Flaps go down quite a bit. So here's your flat panel. Oh, let me get out of the way. Here's your flat panel. Okay, so that's up and flush, lines up nicely, right? You can see that. Okay, so you put it full down. That's a pretty good amount of flap travel. That'll make a little bit of lift, some extra drag coming down final. The ailerons go down quite a bit. They don't go up quite as much, and that's kind of a scale, you know, differential aileron deflection. You see people doing 3D with the Super Cub, or not the Super Cub, the clip-wing version of this, and this being a Super Cub, the ailerons are a little farther out on the wing because it's a longer wing. But I would think you could still probably set up flaperons so that when this one goes up, this one comes flush, and then when they go down, they both go down. So I would think you could set it up kind of like flaperons between the flaps and the ailerons, still maybe do some 3D. We're going to have more than enough power, but you know, we'll see as we do the build how this is all going to hash out. But again, servos are sunk in the wings, just the arms hang out the bottom. And I have a video, I actually already did the video for these servo mounts, so that's a nice detail. Again, the hardware is all included, so there'll be a control horn here and a control horn here. And one thing I've noticed, if you're used to building slightly smaller airplanes, normally you take a wing panel with one hand, you manipulate it. You take the fuselage with another hand, you manipulate it. This thing requires two hands. I tried to pick up the wing as I was taking it out of the box and move it behind me, and I crushed the wood a little bit because I was trying to one-hand it. It was so big and awkward. So just a word of caution, use two hands when you're moving these big pieces around if this is your first really giant scale airplane. This airplane, for what it's worth, I have my laptop here. Let me just pull this up real quick. No, I don't have the page loaded, but this airplane is a steal. I'll report that in a minute, but I don't have the price right in front of me. I'll put it up on the screen for you. Right there. No, right there I'll put it. Ready? There it is. Right? That's a steal. For a giant scale airplane like this, that comes complete with hardware, everything's pre-hinged. So this is the other wing panel. There's access ports up on top of the wing. I believe these are for fastening what are called jury struts. I'll just show you that real quick. So the wing struts, here's another nice detail. The wing struts will come off the fuselage like this, right? So they're already made, all assembled. It's aluminum with what looks like wood fairing and covering material over the top of it to make it all nice. So these are called lift struts because as the wing is making lift, these are reinforcing the strength of the wing by attaching the wing spar down to the base of the fuselage, right? So airplane's making lift, it's lifting here, it's bracing it down at the bottom, making everything nice and strong. But then you have this intermediate, which is called a jury strut. Okay, the jury struts are plain steel, they're not painted, so I'm probably going to end up just taking this, using a little sandpaper, and painting it white to match the lift struts. But I believe what these little access ports are in the top of the wing, they're right about where the jury struts would go, although it could be, that also happens to be where the wing tube comes through, so it could be that these little access points are to fasten the ends of the wing tubes. I'm not really sure yet, but we'll get into that in the build. So let me just put these back and I'll move the wings out of the way. We'll go through the different hardware that's included. We'll go through some of the pieces, and then we're going to get right to work building it. So let's get this out of the way. If you're thinking about building one of these, the fuselage length is reported to be 91 inches. All up weight, ready to fly, should be about 28 to 29 pounds. And if you have a vehicle with 91 inches between the back of the seat and the tailgate, then you should be able to fit this in there no problem. With the airplane comes a variety of hardware. Very nice tail wheel. Suits the airplane very well. A lot of little bits and doodads. Comes with world model insignia hubcaps for these pneumatic wheels that are included. I may or may not use these wheels. Dubro makes a very nice third scale Cub wheel, and I might do that together with Robart's scale, 1/3 scale Cub landing gear, which are really nice. They look really scale. So this is all the hardware that's included. The leaf spring for the tail wheel actually has two parts to it, so it should have a little bit of a spring to it. There's push rods, there's nuts and bolts, there's brackets, all sorts of stuff. And I don't know if I have to get into this. I don't know if this is for the tail wheel or if it's for, or not for the tail wheel. I think this is hardware to make flying wires for the tail, which is scale. And judging from how the tail's put together, I think that's what this is. It's flying wires for the tail. It doesn't come with hardware for a pull-pull setup on the rudder because the rudder servo is actually in the tail. And here are the elevator halves, very big. They're actually removable, which makes it's fastened to the back of the fuselage via that little tab right there. So these slide onto a tube. I'm not sure if it's a tube or a wood dowel. I think it's actually a wood dowel that is used for the elevator halves. I'm going to put a micrometer on this, see what the size is. If it's 1/4 inch or 6 millimeter, maybe replace these with some carbon fiber. But they're kind of a light, like maybe poplar wood dowel. They might be completely strong enough when you add in the, maybe that's not what they're for. Those might be a wire that holds the tail on. I haven't gotten that far. But needless to say, very big tail surfaces, pre-hinged, pretty good amount of throw, right? So, nice plain white makes for putting your own trim scheme on pretty easy, or putting nice giant scale news stickers on if that's what you want to do. I don't blame you. Also, we have a painted fiberglass cowl, matches the fuselage. Goes right on there like that. Looks beautiful. Something really cool that World Models does that I've never seen before. They include a vacuum formed clear cowl, which allows you to put this over the engine, cut everything nice, get it exactly the way you want it, and then slide it over the real cowl, transfer all your cut marks so you can get the cowl cut perfect the first time. So you don't have to worry about having giant cutouts because you weren't really sure where to cut. Also included with the ARF is a very nice vacuum formed canopy that's going to have to be fit to go on the front of the, or maybe it doesn't, it actually looks pretty good just the way it is. That goes on the front of the fuselage, okay, as you probably would have guessed. We also have vacuum formed window panels for the side windows, and I'm not sure if these have to be cut out and fit individually, or if the entire side panel just plugs into place and gets attached with epoxy or canopy glue. We also have very nice large scale looking rudder, right? Lots of throw. Let me show you that. Lots of throw, which is always good. This is going to be a very nice place to put the sponsor of this build, or one of the sponsors of the build, Pawn Shop Mike's very own Express Pawn and Gun. So we'll probably put a big sticker on each side for Express Pawn and Gun. If you don't know it already, Mike buys gold. That's all you have to know. If you have any gold laying around, old rings, watches, necklaces, whatever, that stuff is cash. It's actually cash sitting around. Contact Mike, he'll buy it from you. So, with the airplane comes a number of other doodads. You have a very large fuel tank, and this ought to be plenty for our BME 102. Okay, I don't think we're going to put smoke in this, maybe later on. The landing gear is something that is consistently discussed by builders of this airplane. What they do is they take steel music wire, or steel rod, they bend it to shape and then bind it with wire at the attach points. And you know, that's okay. I'm sure a lot of people have flown this using the gear exactly the way they are from World Models, but I happen to have welding equipment at home, and what I'll probably do is either sandblast or clean up the paint and actually weld these wires together. That's if I don't go with the Robart scale Cub gear, which is really nice. So if I use this gear, I am going to go ahead and weld the rods together where they connect and get rid of the binding wire. With this gear, they give you these panels to make it look scale. So these panels would go like so. They would get attached like that to make it look scale. Okay, but with a real Cub, the landing gear is actually wrapped with fabric. It's got a couple ribs, it's wrapped with fabric, taped around the edges and painted. So if I use this gear, I'll probably do the same thing I did when I built my SIG, quarter scale clipped wing Cub. I'll do the same thing. I'll put a couple ribs, I'll wrap it with a fabric, probably some red Solar Tex or something to make it, you know, match what's supposed to be there, and I'll use them that way. But you know, it's the included landing gear. It works. It might take a lot of abuse. Who knows? Continuing along with what we have left, there's some steel rods in here. They give you a tray, probably for mounting servos inside the fuselage for whatever reason, mounting radio gear and stuff, but that can be epoxied into place. They also give you a false bottom to finish off the inside of the fuselage and to sit your little guy. We'll call him Mike after our sponsor. This is Pilot Pawn Shop Mike. Okay, so all in all, this is an exciting build. It's a big airplane. Like I said, we're going to put it to work. We have a mission for it, and you'll all know what that mission is as we get a little bit closer. It's going to take some creative problem solving on my part to make it work, but we've got plenty of power. It's a beautiful airframe, and the price is right. There's that price. There's that price again. We'll put that up for you. All right, so if you want to get a little more information on this, you can go to airborne-models.com. We'll put that up there also. So it's airborne with an E at the end, -models.com. They're out in California. They're the U.S. distributor for World Models, which is the manufacturer of this airframe. Their online construction manual has a lot of color photos, good explanations, parts breakdowns, and because the control surfaces are pre-hinged, because a lot of the stuff has been organized for you, where the servos go, what the control rods are, those sorts of things, the build should go very quickly. I'm expecting it to go quickly. The only thing that might be tricky is maybe configuring flaperons using the aileron and flap panels simultaneously. I have a review to do for a Demon Cortex, which you might know about. That's that little stabilizer module. It stabilizes up to 5 servos, and that'll probably make its way into this airplane also once we put it to work. That'll make flying it a little bit easier with you know, how we're going to be using it. And that's about it. If you have questions, come by giantscalenews.com and we will answer them. There'll be detailed photos there. Before we start the build, I'm going to take close-up photos of everything so you can see all the details of how this is built. And the build thread should go for a few weeks. There's going to be videos to accompany the build. And as always, I'm happy to answer your questions. If you guys see me doing something, you always are encouraged to chime in and let me know if you think there's a better way to do something. We'll discuss it. Discussing it makes everybody smarter, and that's the goal of the site. So again, we're doing a 3rd scale World Model Super Cub. I hope you enjoy it. It's a good looking airplane. It's going to be fun. I'm Bart. The website is giantscalenews.com. If you haven't already done so, check it out. We'd love to see you. Thank you.